When I think about the institution of the kingdom of God, the moment when Jesus began building what would become his church, what strikes me most is how it all began, without wealth, without armies, without infrastructure, without influence. The kingdom wasn't launched with a budget, a board, or a marketing plan. There were no supply lines, no grand institutions, no political power, no public relations team. It began with one man and a small group of friends walking dusty roads, preaching to whoever would listen. And that, I believe, was entirely intentional. God was making a point. He was showing us that the kingdom of heaven does not depend on worldly resources. Yes, organization and structure have their place. Yes, it's good when the church can use resources, education, and influence to serve people and spread the gospel. But the foundation of the kingdom, its beating heart, was never about any of that. It was about faith. It was about obedience. It was about love. Jesus could have chosen any method he wanted to establish his kingdom on earth. He could have summoned legions of angels, commanded kings, or built a global empire overnight. Instead, he chose fishermen, tax collectors, ordinary people. He chose poverty, simplicity, and friendship. Why? To show us what truly matters, that the power of God does not rely on material strength, but on spiritual truth. The story of the kingdom reminds us that one faithful person, completely surrendered to God, can change the world. You see it throughout history. The saints who were assigned to small parishes in the middle of nowhere, yet through their holiness, humility, and love, drew people to God and transformed entire communities. They had no wealth, no power, no fame, and yet their faith was enough. God isn't saying that money, institutions, or influence are bad. They can serve good purposes. They can amplify the message. But they are never the core. When those things become the focus, they cease to serve the kingdom and start distracting from it. The heart of the kingdom is simple and eternal, one person open to grace. Walking in obedience to God can bring heaven a little closer to earth. That's the beauty of how God works. He doesn't need power. He is power. He doesn't need resources. He creates them. What he desires most is cooperation, hearts that say yes. So when we think about building God's kingdom today, it's easy to feel small or inadequate, to think, what difference can I make? But the same Spirit that began the church with 12 imperfect disciples lives in us now. And if God could change the world with a handful of fishermen, imagine what he can do with one person who is completely his. That's the secret of the kingdom. It doesn't start with systems. It starts with surrender.